Frank, maybe you can share some idea about this kind of protocols. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Why actually the Tuya software is perfect for us is that you can combine all of these protocols inside Tuya application. So if you choose the protocol Zigbee, you can also combine it in the application together with other devices. That's something important that I want to note first. And well, there are a lot of protocols. We have worked with almost all of them. And yeah, what my recommendation is that before you choose to implement a smart solution, you have to really look at the project site. Is it like an office building where you can generate a mesh network, or is it like outdoor areas where you choose to use an LTE or MB-IoT solution? That's very important because yeah, all the technologies are very stable, but you cannot use the technology at all of the places. So it's very important that you decide on where you use which technology.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And I think what we'll probably do on the next slide, once we get a bit more of a background of all the solutions that are available, is go on to discuss, I think, some of the examples of where we apply this in different situations, in different buildings. So for the next one, we're going to have a quick look at Tuya's Bluetooth lighting solution. So Mason, could you give a bit of an idea about the difference and the use case with the Bluetooth solution relative to what we've just seen in the LTE Zigbee?
Yeah, actually for the Bluetooth protocols, actually it's also widely used in the global commercial lighting market, and also it's growing very fast because there's an advantage for Bluetooth technology is that the customer can just use their app to add the devices without the gateway, and also they can make the groups, make the scenario, make the schedules without the gateway. So it's quite convenient for the small projects. So we will call that for the SMB solution. Maybe the Bluetooth protocol is quite ideal for this kind of applications, and also the customer can use the app to add the sensors, add the luminaires, and also the scene panels to program different kind of automation or scenarios, such like the daylight scavenging or the one button things or this kind of smart things. All these things will be stored in each device node. It's like that. It is decentralized local control, without gateway, and also it is quite stable. So, but as the Bluetooth sync mesh technology, the disadvantage now actually is like the transmission distance is not so longer than Zigbee, and the ecosystem is not so wide than Zigbee, but it is growing very fast in the market. And also, in the Bluetooth technology, it's another advantage that in the future, if the customer want to upgrade this project to be the remote control or the centralized control, they just add the gateway, and they just bundle the Bluetooth devices in this gateway, then all their data will be transferred to the cloud, and also the customer or the facility owner, they can use the app and web portal to manage them. And also, we can offer the third-party access like for DALI, for the KS, this kind of wireless system, also we can support that. So yeah, it's kind of for the Bluetooth technology. Yes.
I see, because I know we had a question, I think on a previous webinar, saying that can our systems integrate with KNX or with DALI? So just to be clear, that is possible, yes?
Yeah, because for the DALI, KS or DALI system, actually it's a wide control system for the lighting control. So especially for DALI, it's quite popular in the European market, and a lot of customers are very interesting to make it more flexible and also more easy to use. And they want to make some scenarios with the cross DALI devices, with the IoT devices.
Right.
So for Tuya side, we have a specific like a converter. They can convert the DALI signal to the Bluetooth signal or to the Zigbee signal, and also we have a DALI gateway, like an edge gateway. That it's like that we can use Tuya's app to add the DALI system in our system to make some automations, and also to make some remote monitoring and control them. Yeah. So it is a very common requirement from the European market. Yeah.
I mean, it's looking quite flexible so far, but we'll touch a bit on flexibility a bit later. But first, we just want to have a look through some of the key markets and scenarios in which we want to apply this. So I guess to open the floor to Frank and also to Mason here is that based on the technologies we just looked in the previous slides, could you give some suggestions to the guests about, in these specific scenarios, what kind of solution do you think fits?
Yeah. So for the indoor projects, yeah.
Go ahead, Frank.
Yeah,
Frank,
you can start.
yeah.
Will you start, Mason, or
Go
I
ahead,
can also
Mason.
start?
Okay, thank you. So for the indoor projects, it's like especially for the office buildings, for the warehouse, for the factory, for the education or medical or all the outdoor applications is mainly for the street lightings. For the indoor projects, like the office buildings or the education, so the customer actually we care more about the the smarter experience
Right.
for the lighting controls, for the temperature controls, for the daylight harvesting, for the human-centric lighting, and for the warehouse and the factories like that. The facility owners would like to save the energy,
Yeah.
save the money. Yeah, it's like that. They can use the sensors technology, the occupancy sensors, in the high base or the UFO high base or the sports lighting. They would like to make the schedules or sensor strategies
Right.
to save the energy. And for the outdoors, it's like for smart city side. It is also they would like to save the energy and also make some smart control with the sunrise sunset time to turn on the light and turn off the light or dim at the specific hours. Yeah, it's
I
like
see.
that. Yeah.
Well, I guess there's like a flip on from that one, Frank. Could you give some examples of perhaps the technologies or protocols that you could apply to some of these, maybe with one or two examples from your experience over at Firefly?
Yes, sure. A good thing is that we have been active in all of these segments that you put on the screen. And as Mason mentioned earlier, we use the smart technologies to save even more energy for the customers. And what makes this technology perfect is that because it's a wireless technology, there are no limits on how to connect which sensor to which lamp. So for example, if you look at the middle picture, the warehouse, you can even say that in the left lane, when the sensor detects motion, all the lights in the building go on, or only that row or the two rows next to it, and that makes the application very easy. All of these sectors that you see here are proven very stable. We have installed thousands of these lamps before, and to give some more details about the protocols that we used, actually for the most of these parts we have used the Zigbee protocol, and we set up a mesh network at the client, which we combine with sensors and everything. And for the outdoor projects, we usually choose a CAT-M or MB IoT solution, because there is not that much availability of Wi-Fi networks, of possibilities to add a gateway or router, and there it's more easy if your protocol connects directly to the cloud.
I see. Well, I think we'll have, I know we've got lined up some very great examples of what you've just discussed there that I think it's worth staying tuned for towards the end. And thank you again for that, Frank. But just as a quick note before we move on, because I can see we're getting a few questions coming through. If you do happen to have any questions throughout the duration of today's webinar, feel free to send them into the chat or to the Q&A, and then we'll answer them all at the end as we go through. Okay, so I guess we'll move on now into our market research section here. And just to begin with, we're going to look at some data that shows us the potential growth of the commercial lighting market. So I think, just as a quick intro, the numbers somewhat speak for themselves, and it's luckily to see positive signs for the commercial lighting market. But I guess to get more of a realistic and personal input, I'll pass over to Frank and to Mason quickly, just to see that have you felt the impact of the growth of the market over the past, say, 5 to 10 years? I particularly know for you, Frank, as you've been growing your business, I'm sure that you've definitely been feeling some of this growth, but could you give a bit of a clearer picture for those sitting on the ground in Europe about what the real situation is and what's pushing this growth?
Yeah, sure. Well, in short, there's no better time to start this business than right now. In the past, you have seen a lot of wired systems, and it makes it very complicated on the installation. So, for example, if you imagine an office area and you want to connect the sensor to the lighting, previously that always has been done wired, and it takes a lot of time and money. And the big advantage of this system, the commercial lighting system provided by Tuya with all the protocols, makes it very easy to develop a smart building. And in Europe, as we are located there, of course, with our company, we see that there is a big change happening on more and more companies that want a wireless or a smart building solution because they can save even more energy. So these numbers, they speak for themselves. I would definitely recommend, starting in this solution.
Perfect. I mean, first of all, that's good to hear. And I think there's a whole part of the reason why we're here today. But for more numbers on the European market, I guess we'll just let the graph on screen, speak for itself here as well. And I guess we just had a pretty good run through from Frank.
Yeah, so it's like I totally agree with Frank. It's like that for traditional lighting control system, mostly it's about the wire system. The wire system, you need the dimming cable.
Yeah.
You have to place it, and also especially for the retrofit project, it's quite difficult to upgrade it with the smart lighting control. And now actually with the wireless technology, it's like that. It's more flexible and more easy, and also the cost.
Yeah.
It's lower. That's why the end user and the facility owner, they would like to take it. Like I would like to smart this smart, upgrade it with their smart experience, and also they can save a lot of energy. It's like that. And also for the outdoors, it's like a lot of cities around the world, they would like to build the smart cities.
Yeah.
It's like that for the smart street lighting, especially for that. It's also growing very rapidly.
I think there's a good point you hit on, particularly regarding retrofit as well for the European market. For those of you who don't know, myself and Mason are based in the Asia Pacific region, which generally the projects we'll work on with Smart happen to be new builds. We'll occasionally have the odd retrofit here and there. But what we found interesting is that with the European market now is that there's a huge demand we see, just given the large volume of older buildings and protected buildings in the market, that requires something that's not intrusive and doesn't require you to rip out the walls and change the structure in any way, shape or form. So I think that's something to focus on, guys, and particularly keep in mind as we move forwards through a bit of a run through of the wireless solutions we do offer. I guess I'll invite Mason again to join us and just explain a little bit about the two graphs we're seeing on screen here. On the left side, we're having a look at the potential revenue by type of those three things we discussed earlier, so software, hardware and service. And then on the right hand side is regarding the specific hardware.
It's like the different types of sensors or controllers and also the embedded luminaires. It's like that. And also it's very interesting point is that for this commercial lighting revenue side, on the left graphic is like that. You can take that it's a software and service part also takes a big part. It's also very interesting. So many lighting brands that would like to take this part for service income.
I think for our side, and I guess we'll have Frank discuss as well in a minute, but a lot of the feedback we have is that with previous industries, not only for lighting actually, is that typically the end customer doesn't like paying a lot of money for service all the time, as much as the business owner wants to sell that. But the trouble is, in the past, is typically with those who are looking to resell existing branded solutions. So for example, buying from an existing hardware brand and reselling, the margin kind of needs to be made up somewhere. But what we found with a lot of our partners and clients is that when working with us, they're able to be a little bit more flexible because they're determining their own margin by owning their own brand of hardware and software. And not reselling it. So I don't know if that's your experience, Frank. I don't know how that works for your side, but I think that's what we're trying to offer, again, is flexibility not only of the solution from Tuya, but of the business model.
Yes, I totally agree. And while looking at these graphs, it makes you wonder a little bit why there is still such a huge potential. And you hit a very good note earlier before where you were saying that in your side of the planet, you have more like new installations, and on our side in Europe there are already a lot of retrofit projects. So if you look at our company, we mostly do retrofit projects, and you can see that there is like a big barrier for the installers to change to the smart commercial lighting system, even though it's very easy. So you have to show them how to do it, and once they see it, they start believing it, and then it can grow very rapidly because it's very fast and reliable.
I think, like we kind of discussed earlier on before we started, that lighting certainly is a see it to believe it type of product. So I think that adds huge value to the service element as well. Even though you can't just ship a product or you can't just take a picture, it needs to be being in person, I think, delivering that service to someone and showing them how it looks. And that's normally the wow factor when we see it. Oh, sorry, there we go. Okay, moving on. We're going to go through in the next section and look at some of the key focus points we find from customers and clients and partners when they're looking to implement smart lighting commercial solutions. So we're going to go through and take a look about what exactly is the pain point, and then also some solutions that we offer in how to solve those. So the first one is regarding the installation and maintenance. So I guess regarding focus points, I'll invite Mason to come and frame the problem a bit, and we'll jump in a bit afterwards regarding the solution.
Yeah, it's like that. So we have discussed with many customers and also the end users side. So the pain points is like that. If I would like to upgrade my building to a smart building, if I use the traditional control technology, it will take a lot of the implementation costs. And all the labor costs and all the material costs and the traffic costs. And also another thing is that for the installers or for the contractors like that, it's quite painful for them to program them, especially for the DALI or KNX system. It's quite complicated. They have to have a very professional engineer to do these things. And if the end user would like to change something, they have to set the professional engineer at the side. So it's quite a big cost and not flexible. And the third thing from my side, it maybe is like for the out-of-sales service. Once we deliver smart projects to the end user, it's like every luminaire or every device is smart, and it can be related to several groups or several scenarios. So once some device failed, in the past, you have to also set the professional engineer to repair, to recommissioning, to programming, and also it takes a long time and like a high cost. But it's kind of the pain points from my side. So
I see. I mean, we'll just jump on quickly, conscious of time as well, as to how with Tuya solutions we're reducing the implementation and installation cost. So could you explain a bit about what's on screen and how we offer it?
Yeah, it's like that for Tuya's platform. We can support both wireless solutions and also wired system. It's like a hybrid system. So the customer, if they used to use the data system, KNX system, they can upgrade it easily with the edge gateway. And for others, like the traditional buildings, they can use the wireless technology. Like we can support Bluetooth, ZigBee, or for the outdoors like KD1, KDM, MBLT. So it's also very easy for them to implement this project, and also it is very low installation and traffic costs, and also for the traditional wireless system, it's also very easy and low cost to upgrade to the smart system.
I see. I think it's about flexibility again, isn't it? That even if you have an existing system in an old building, and we're still here to support and say we have a great system involved for you to upgrade that and go smart without too much hassle or cost. And I guess how in which that is delivered will be shown on the next slide. So I know we haven't really shown much of the SAS platform yet, but this is the first little snippet, particularly with the app on the left-hand side. So I guess, Mason, could you give a quick intro as to how commissioning and device rollout looks when using Tuya's commercial lighting or smart building platforms?
Yeah, actually we have a dedicated app. It can use this app as the devices, and also for Bluetooth we call SMB solutions. So customer just use the app without gateway. Gateway is free, and without gateway to add the Bluetooth devices, and also we will show that there are the device list with the signal strength. So it is quite easy, and also we can support the pre-control technology. It's like that you can decide which one is the one you would like to add at this time. So it's quite easy for the customer to identify which light is which.
I see.
So it's very easy, especially for the big project like in the warehouse or the factories, like thousands or hundreds of luminaires. So this technology is quite important for them to shorten the commissioning time. And also the customer like some products like the products KDM solutions. Frank is using this kind of technology, and also they can use the QR code. You just use app, scan this QR code, and add it.
So it's a QR code on the physical device. With a unique PID or something. I see.
It's also very easy for them for the communication side.
Nice. Okay, conscious of time, we'll just keep moving through these quickly, and we'll push forwards. So finally, regarding the installation side, I think we need to give a note on how exactly device replacement looks, because I know Mason just gave a particular scenario in which having to pay for call-outs and specialists to come to resolve issues. But I guess could you explain a bit more how using Tuya's platform, if there's any issues or anything that needs to be solved, that you can easily put in a work order?
If the customer reported some device failed, actually It's like that. In our SaaS platform, you can set different kind of trigger conditions. Once this luminary is failed, it will trigger the alarm, trigger the notification, and send it by email, by message to the maintenance team. And after you receive that, actually you can copy the configuration files from the failed devices to the new devices. It's like this work can be done at the spare parts center or at the office or in your factory. After that, you just send this new device to the site, just power it on. All the scenarios and all groups will work as usual. So it's quite convenient for the outer service. And also the customer can also scan the QR code at the site to replace it. So we can offer two different types to replace it. Yeah.
I see. Okay, so there is a full work. Go ahead, Frank. Go on.
Yeah, what I would like to add on this slide is that we guarantee that the lamps will work for all our customers, and this is a very convenient function because we can get a notification too if the customer allows it, and we can already change the lamps or start our preparation work when we receive a notification of a faulty device. So you can be even more helpful to your customer on already fixing the lamp even before he knows it.
So do you get many requests, for example, when you sign on a new customer, Frank? Is it like a sign-on option that says, would you like to give us information of any particular faulty products? Or?
Yeah, it's more like we set up the environment for our customer, and not all of our customers want us that we have access to their systems.
Right.
So if they allow us to have access for only like this function, which most of them do, of course, then we can provide extra support on changing the lamp, so to make sure it always is a perfect lighted solution.
I see. That's interesting to hear, and it's interesting to hear that a lot of them sign on to it as well. I think it's a pretty unique thing of having smart systems, is that you can rely on your service provider to receive that notification and be there, and there's a full trace record of everything as well. So we'll move on. What time are we on? Okay, we'll move on to the next pain point and the key focus point for a number of our customers and partners, which is solution competitiveness. Now, we did see a nice looking graph earlier on about the growth of this market, but as we know, the lighting market as a whole, in general, has been very matured and very saturated over the past few years. So I think we'll leave in Mason to come in and introduce a bit more about what we exactly mean by solution competitiveness as a pain point, and then also some ways in which using smart solutions can help define your business and your solutions.
It's like this. Many customers, before they decided which system they will use, they will have some idea, like have some questions or some concerns that if this system can be expanded to the wider, and also if the function is advanced in the industry, and also that if it is quite flexible for them to make some changes by themselves. So that is the things that I think for the solution competitiveness for this. So it's for, I think we can check to the
next slide.
It's like that. For Tuya side, actually, we have a very big ecosystem like that. So we are number one is Audi Pass side, and now it's around, I think, 700,000 developers. It's like these factories all over the world. They are working, they are building their smart devices into SAS platform. So this things means that for the integrators, for the installers or the contractors or the lighting brands from the overseas countries, they can choose a lot of different types of the smart devices from Tuya ecosystem. Like that, they can choose some very good quality LED drivers, smart luminaires, smart sensors, and also power packs and panels, and even for different kind of gateways, as KS gateway, DALI gateway, LT gateway, and also waterproof gateway, all these things. And also, if the customer will have some special requirements, it's quite easy for us to find some factories to support, to develop for them. So it is one advantage for Tuya's ecosystem. Yeah.
I think, that's always been the benefit of Tuya, and the main reason people come to work with us, right? It's the ecosystem, flexibility, and we know often, so many times, is that we do get requests for things that are slightly outside, but it's a good comfort for our side knowing that it's well within reach actually to find that product or to integrate that service. Yeah,
I think, Frank, maybe you can share some idea about your side, because it's quite interesting. last time I visited your office, so many different kinds of smart devices from Tuya ecosystem.
Yeah, it's in short, it's a complete solution. So the reason that we chose for Tuya about 3 or 4 years ago is that they have this huge availability of all kinds of protocols, and there is a great team behind it who acts very fast. So since we are doing the installations ourselves, our teams at the project sites, they encounter sometimes difficulties. And the big upside for us is that we can communicate those difficulties or things that we can do even better or smarter. We tell them to the Tuya engineers, and within a couple of hours or sometimes days, very fast, we have a proven solution that makes the client save even more energy or give them a better lighting experience. So it's actually perfect, the whole ecosystem.
I appreciate the praise there, Frank. That's very kind as well. But I guess, without further ado, let's move on a bit, because I did see we got a question actually, which I think we can address slightly on the next slide. Actually, we'll cover it in the next one after this, but first, Mason, just in regards to functionality, I know we've categorized here into 4 main groups on the screen, but then within which we can see a very wide range of different individual solutions. So for a quick question, could you introduce a bit more about this? And then also from my side, I'll ask is that within these different functions, does the end customer usually use them all, or do they actually just choose a few of these to work with?
They will choose, I think, not all of them. Mm-hmm. It depends on the project types. Like for the smart buildings, some customer would like to use the data harvesting, human-centric lighting, and for the warehouse or industry side, they would like to use the energy management side to get it. And also some customers require the API interface for the own system. So it depends on the end user project requirements like that. But for our side, actually, our system, we will upgrade and keep developing new features to the system. Every month we will have a new version launched to improve something or add some new features inside. So for our side, because it's quite a lot of information for the functionality, like for the map display, for the indoors with the floor plans, outdoors with the Google Map, and also for the dashboard, authority management, the overall AI update for the firmware, and for lighting control, like the single control, group control, area control, and also for the data harvesting, all these things, and for the energy strategies, like use different kind of automations, or the sensors or schedules, or the data harvesting, all these kind of strategies to save the energy. And for the maintenance and operations, now we have the heating map.
Right.
We have the human-centric lighting, data harvesting, and also AI technology for the sensor server adaptation, and also quick replacement, all these kind of functionalities. Yeah, so
it's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I think a quick question for that, Mason, as we move on to the next slide that we have on screen, is that we had a question in the group earlier on that said, do we just use the Tuya Smart app to do this? So I guess as we move forwards, could you probably clarify that when we say our system, what exactly do we mean, and what are we looking at on the screen here? Is this a SaaS platform? Is there an app that comes with it?
Yeah, because we have different kind of solutions for the smart scenarios. So for the residential market, we call it for smart home use. We have this Tuya Smart app or Smart Life app. Yeah. But for the commercial side, we have a dedicated app. We call it the lighting app, and also with the web portal. So it's a totally different solution. Because the software structure, the customer requirement is also different, and also the account system, the mesh network technology is also different. So if customer would like to implement the commercial projects, we will recommend that to use the commercial solutions.
Yeah, I think it's just to be clear, and I guess the whole point, to an extent, of this whole webinar series is to clarify and make clear for you guys is that those of you who are looking to develop solutions that include everything we've discussed today and also the other webinars, each of these webinars is an individual product that we deliver and a service with its own unique team within Tuya, whether it's for residential markets and apartments, whether it's for hotels, or today for commercial lighting. Mason is the head of this team within Tuya, and they have built a fantastic product for the commercial lighting market. So please feel free to contact as well if that's what you're looking for, and just consider if it's what you need or if you want to go through the typical Tuya line of business for B2C lighting systems. So just with that clarified, I guess we'll move forwards and talk about flexibility.
Yeah, it's like it is like a different points with the smart home.
Yeah.
So the customer, especially for the brand owner side, they can manage all their products in the dashboard. It's like they can make the product library. I can add different PIDs. I can calibrate the color temperature of the luminaire.
Right.
This is quite different with the smart home use. This is totally for the commercial side. And also the customer can set different kind of scene templates for the quick programming. And also we offer the brand owner dashboard. And also you can manage your end user's account for the different authorities, different projects and device nodes. You can set it, and also valid time you can set it, and also you can set the white and black list, and also the authority management. It is totally a different tool that we will deliver to the brand owners. They will have this backend to manage all their accounts from their end users. Yeah, and also their products in the backend. Yeah,
and it's the backend that we're seeing on the screen here as well, isn't it? Cool. Well, I guess we'll move on to, we won't call it the elephant in the room, but it's the fairly clear and obvious topic which we do need to discuss today because it is of huge value, particularly, of course, in the European market at the moment. And that is energy management or cost reductions as well, per se. So Mason, just give a quick intro to what we're framing here. I'm sure most people are fairly clear. And then we'll dive in a bit about how exactly Tuya solutions can help with energy management.
Yeah, it's like we are offering comprehensive solution for the energy management from the strategy part, from the sensors, occupancies, tri-level DIMMs, and also data harvesting. And also we have the platform to gather data. You can get data, it will be showing in the app, and also it can be showing in the web browser site. And also we have AI technology for the deep self-adjustment to adjust the sensor settings to save more energies. So it's quite a different technology with the industry. And also regarding the energy management, I think Frank will have more information to share with us. Because
sure.
Yeah.
We have seen through our calculations and our energy management measures at clients that by implementing this smart solution, the clients can save up to 60% extra compared to using the smart technologies. And it comes through various strategies such as, for example, first the sensor. So if there's no motion, then the sensor turns off. That's a basic one, but still some one that I should mention. And the other one that is even more nice is that you can combine the sensors together with the light output from the windows. So if there's light from the outside inside the room, they can dim the lights to save even more energy. And by making all these kind of different strategies work together, well, you can save up to 60% extra on top of your LED savings.
That's a fair old amount. I mean, I guess for the European market and for those who are listening today, Frank, would you say that there's been an increase or no in the, let's say, language towards energy saving and the requirements of customers that you've had given the energy crisis, or do you think it hasn't really changed much?
No, it definitely has changed. Last year the prices went up enormously, of course, in the European market, and see that most companies are struggling on paying the bills, and the energy saving part is very important to them. And if you look at our lighting installations in Europe or the Netherlands, then the Netherlands is one of the first moving countries. And right now, about half of all the companies in the Netherlands, they have an LED solution. And the other half still has the old traditional lighting that consumes a lot of energy. So when a company transforms from the traditional to the LED lighting, they will save like 70 or 80%. And when they add the smart solution and they implement the strategy, they can save even 60% more. So it's perfect.
I think you've kind of hit on the two key points there, because sometimes we do not get beyond ourselves, but like whenever I'm back in Europe as well, the focus is still on enabling the shift from from traditional lighting to LED. And then we're still going beyond that now and focusing so much on the smart solutions. But I think from our side is, A, why not both? I mean, when they work together, they work perfectly well. And B, I think that How do I put it? I think for us it's about more focusing on guiding those customers as we get beyond ourselves, because sometimes we do walk ourselves into meetings and with those who are still just becoming familiar with the idea of LEDs and pitching IoT solutions that automate the daylight savings based on what's coming in through the window. So I think it's about us and trying to simplify the language as well for the end customer. But anyway, let's talk a bit about how exactly we deliver the energy saving strategies. So
it's like scheduling, because the customer can use our software and also combine with the hardware side, they can set the different schedules, sunrise, sunset times, and full sales, data harvesting for open loop, closed loop, and also for the occupancy sensing, and also for the high-end trim, zoom level, lighting controls, truck level dim, all this kind of technology. I think we can, maybe Frank can give us more clear cases or studies in his projects. Maybe you can move next.
Yeah, sure. What we usually do is we have a sensor that we implement at our office clients, and the sensor not only detects motion, but it also detects the amount of sunlight that is in the room, like the lux level. And the big advantage is that you can not only save energy when there's only motion, but if there is motion and there is like a lot of sunlight outside, then you can dim the lights to still reach your legal lux values that you need. But it saves a lot of extra energy. So another one, the second one that I see here on the slide is the sunrise and sunset setting. That is something that we use very often for our outdoor projects. And then you can imagine clients such as sport clubs. So when they are training, and it's during the evening most of the times, then at some point the sun sets and the lighting should be turned on. And it's very easy to set up an application. You can just add your location and the system automatically figures out at what time the sun sets. And you can say, okay, 30 minutes before the sun sets, I want the lighting to turn on at 50%. And exactly when the sun is fully down, then increase the lighting to 90%. So I'm going very much in detail here, but it's just one of the things that is possible. And it goes even beyond that.
I think that's one from particularly the Tuya system that I remember very clearly impressed me when I first came, is that you can set just on the system of your location, and the AI can handle the rest in regards to knowing when the sunrise, sunset is and adjusting the lighting accordingly. I guess what will separate the energy strategy, we call it, into two main sections. One is that automating the energy savings, and the other one is visualizing and managing those on that SaaS platform that we discussed. And that's what we're seeing on the screen here now. So I guess, Mason, in regards to visualization of energy data and managing it, what kind of statistics can end users and customers receive?
The customer can get a full report for the project, for the buildings, and also they can make some analyze in their system. They can compare it with different time periods, compare it with different buildings, different floors, different rooms. And also there's the footprint tracking. You can track which part takes most of the energy. And also you can download this report. And also you can set different kind of the energy consumption setting, like the system will report as every 15 minutes or every hour to report this energy consumption data. So, and also the customer can get the API interface to get the energy data to their own system. Like they can get this data from Tuya system here. It's quite flexible, and also very useful for the end customer side. And also they can show this to their owners like that. I use the smart technology. You can see
here's my
data. Here's the energy saving. It's very clear. And the last one I think is about the self-adjustable for. It's mainly for the sensor side. So we have the AI technology. It's like machine learnings, like the sensor, the cloud. We get the data, get the triggering frequency data, and also it will do the calculation, and also we adjust the sensors in real time. So it's quite also another technology to save more energy.
So just automating the savings via the range of sensors, right? Cool. Then let's move on just quickly again to our next section, which, I mean, we know we've got to know Frank very well over the course of the last 50 minutes or so. but we haven't really had a full formal introduction to Firefly in the business. So the next part, for the next 10 to 15 minutes, we're going to take a look through Firefly and some of the success cases that we worked on together. So just without further ado, Frank, please, the floor is yours. Give us the full intro and the lowdown to the history and background of Firefly.
Yes, thanks Dylan. I'll keep it short and I'll go more in detail in the projects later, because it will show our company even better. But actually we offer all our clients and partners a complete solution. So we first start with a lighting plan, then we actually produce the lamps, we install them at the client, and we implement the smart solutions. And we do this mostly on an investment-free basis. So we are so truly convinced that with our shared technology, we can save so much more energy at the client that we calculate the client the energy savings as an estimation upfront, and the client pays us through that energy saving, so they don't have to invest, and it makes us really show that we fully believe in the solution and we can implement a very successful project. If you look at our customers, last few years it has been, we have done like governmental projects, sport clubs, industries, offices, warehouses, medical rooms, actually everywhere where there is light, we are active. Apart from the consumer section, we don't focus on the consumers, but only on the business side.
So which regions are you mostly in the net? Sorry, Frank, to interrupt. I was going to ask is which regions do you generally operate in? Is it mostly in the Netherlands or Benelux?
Right now it has been mostly in the Netherlands, but we see that a big strength of our company is training other companies to implement the smart solutions and to let them sell smart LED lights. So the coming years we will focus more on training other installers and partners to sell more of the projects and help their clients save more energy.
Perfect, and
that will go beyond the Netherlands.
I think for us, you've just kind of painted the picture and explained very nicely sort of what it means to be a partner with Tuya. I think that's what we envision this business model for us as, is having companies like yourself who become and really own your own solution, become experts in it, and actually are going beyond and training others in terms of delivering it and really building on top of that. So it's been a pleasure to work with you on projects such as this first one that we have here about Golf Barn Delphi. Is it Delphi or Defland, if I'm pronouncing that correctly?
Delphi. And I'll translate it to English, but as you can already see, it's a big golf project. Actually, it's a par 3 course for those of you who golf. I don't play golf myself, but doesn't matter that much. As you can see in the picture, it's 1 kilometer of lights. And the big challenge on this project was that there's no Wi-Fi available, so it's very hard to implement a gateway and work with a technology such as Zigbee or Bluetooth because the distance is very huge. So here we co-developed a special product. We call it a PUC, but it's actually an LTE-M solution. And it's basically a small device that you attach to the lamp and the drivers, and it connects directly to a cell tower, and it doesn't need to function with a gateway. So every light that you see there, and it's not very good visible in the picture, but it are about 100 lights in the total golf project. They are powered by an LTE-M solution.
I see. I guess, Mason, could you give a bit more background as to the development of the LTE-M solution with Frank, and how did that process go?
Yeah, actually from the at previous, actually it's quite difficult for us to, because at that time we don't have this kind of the controllers for the KTM, we call it LTE solutions, and we discussed with Frank team a lot. We used to use like Zigbee protocol, but we think it's not so good, so suitable. So we developed this with the Frank team, and we improved it a lot. And the Frank our team also helped us to test it and give some advices how to improve it. And now it's quite stable now. Yes.
So this is a co-developed solution.
Yeah, it's co-developed solution. Yeah.
Awesome. And I mean, in terms of benefits now.
Yeah.
For the golf course, I guess I'll pass back over to Frank. What do you think the impact has been on their business in developing and delivering the solutions?
Well, what's very cool about this project is that before the lights were installed, they couldn't play golf at night when it gets dark because, of course, you cannot see the ball. What we did there is we provided the full lighting solution, so also with the poles, and we installed everything. And right now, when it gets dark or the sun sets, the light will turn on. And when the sun is fully down, then the light will increase. And a very cool thing is that there are no technical borders anymore. So, for example, when it's time to turn off the lights, you have multiple holes in this whole par 3 course, and every 50 minutes, one hole turns off.
Right.
So, if you watch the time lapse of this project, you see like all the lights in phases turning off. And it is a very convenient way of letting the customers on the field show that the club will close. But yeah, it's also a very good way to save even more energy.
I think it's
in future, we want to also add like sensors that detect motion or weight, and when a golf ball hits the hole, then the lights can flash, for example. But that goes even further.
I've seen that before, actually. I'm a rugby fan, and I remember previously watching, they installed on the post that we have in rugby, the same in soccer, is that if it goes through the post, they have a sensor and it flashes up and signifies that there's been a goal or a try, whatever it was. So I like that idea very much. But I think in terms of the impact in the business, it's clear. Normally we're talking about delivering impact through having human-centric lighting, which is a fantastic thing. Energy management, again, also brilliant. But very simply for these guys, they were able to have business for the evenings, basically half of the time, particularly when people are off work, just by having a smart lighting system installed.
Exactly.
So let's move on to our next example. And this one I will not try and pronounce myself, Frank. I'll lead you in and read this one out.
In English, I would say it's a big accountancy office. The Dutch name is Verstegen, but the G is a little hard for most foreigners. And what is nice about this project is that it's a big building with 4 floors, and within that building there are all kinds of small offices with about, I would say, 4 or 5 light fixtures. And we had to implement a solution in an already existing building. So this is something that we mentioned earlier. You don't know where all the wiring is going, so it's very hard for us if we have to install LED lighting here and replace the old traditional lighting on how we can add the sensors. And that's the reason why we didn't want to do it wired, and we only choose to do projects wirelessly. And the big advantage is that right now at this project, every room, and there are about 200 rooms in total, they have their own microwave sensor that also detects light from the windows. And when there is no humans, when there are no humans inside, it turns off. But when it's on and there are humans inside, it also dims according to how much light in the building enters. So, giving more background about the protocols that we used here, it's not the LTM solution in here, it's a Zigbee solution. So we have a big mesh network, and up to this day and all other projects, it has proven very stable, and they save very much energy on this project.
I guess there's a side question to that one as we talk about stability, because all the 3 of us sitting at the table or at a table all know very clearly about the stability of the solution, and we have full trust. But do you get any not say feedback, but hesitancy for those who are unsure about the reliance or stability of wireless solution versus wired? And I guess how would you demonstrate that?
Yes, I think that's a very good question. Actually, I would like to say that both of our companies are really a disrupting company in this market. Because if you compare our solution to the traditional installing solution, they are very hesitant to change to wireless solutions because, they haven't implemented it on a huge scale before, and you have to change your mindset from a technical mindset with wires, you have to become more like IT minded. So this is very cool to see that we also have a very young team, and the young team really loves these technologies. They're grown up with it. And well, I think as of today we have more than thousands of available and online and successfully stable operational light fixtures and sensors. And for us, it's proven very stable. But that's a pain point for installers to transfer to smart projects, even though it's very stable, which is something that's new to them.
I think, the projects, as you say, kind of speak for themselves, and particularly not just you're not only delivering this in very small, say, let's say office environments and simple environments. You've demonstrated your capacity across golf courses, wide range spaces, inside of complicated, tight office spaces as well, and also nursing homes, which actually offers a pretty interesting use case for light in general. And from what we see actually as well at Tuya, we've developed a number of solutions targeted towards this vertical, specifically around the unique needs for lighting. So I guess I'll let you introduce a bit more about that one and the unique challenges about the case.
Yes, I like all of our projects, but these kind of projects are really one of my favorites, is because in this nursing home, we implemented the human-centric lighting. And basically, you have to see that in these areas, there are a lot of elderly people living, and they live there 24/7. So actually, when they reach a certain age, they get taken care in that nursing home. And most of them don't go outside. So before we installed our solution at this client, they just had one light color during 24/7 of the time. And there are a lot of people living there with Alzheimer. So, during the nights, they wake up, they leave their beds and enter the floors, and then they see this very bright light, and they think, oh, it's day, right, even though it's complete nighttime. And what we did here is we replaced all the lighting, and we added human-centric lighting. So actually the lights in all of this area, they are constantly changing color and brightness. So we really get the outdoor sun inside, and the results are wonderful. You see that the employees working there, they are having very almost no trouble anymore by converting the outdoor rhythm into the people living there. You see that they're very calm and relaxed, and they go to bed on time. They wake up less during the nights, and when they wake up, instead of seeing a very bright light, they see a very warm and very dimmed light. And it gives people so much more energy during the day when they need it, and it makes them feel more calm and relaxed when they have to go to bed or it's the end of the day. So this is a very cool project, and right now we are installing more and more smart solutions here, such as the SOS buttons that you see there. So when somebody falls or they need help, then we get a notification on our cell phone, or the employees get the notification, and they can help the person in need. But it goes even further than that. Everything inside the nursing home is connected, and it all adds up to a better, healthy working and living environment.
I think it's always an interesting one working with nursing homes from our experiences, because just when you put the two things, elderly care or elderly and technology, in the same sentence, there's always just a bit of like, hang on a minute, old people don't work with tech. But that's actually not the case. It's about enabling them and improving their quality of life through systems such as, for example, circadian rhythm for the lighting. And it can make a massive impact on these people's lives, and it doesn't require them to be engaging with them and calling Alexa themselves, even though we've delivered that in some cases. So I think that's the huge benefit we're seeing here. And I think the impact lighting can have, particularly with things like circadian rhythm, is one of those which you can watch YouTube videos about it, you can learn about it via webinars such as this one. But from my experience, having it in my home at least, was once you get to live with that and feel the different quality of life you have of having natural light coming throughout the day, it's one of those wow factors that you have, and you kind of hadn't thought about it before. So it's great to see examples of care homes that are already taking the leap and taking consideration of that, and finding and reaching out to companies like yourself to test and deploy that, because we can see from, like we saw in the charts earlier on, this is only expected to grow. And once the awareness of such solutions does increase throughout not just the European market but worldwide, they will realise very clearly after stepping into one of those properties such as Keren that we see here, the huge difference that it can make. So I guess, yes, on that note, we'll quickly jump through on how to get started, both with Firefly as one of Tuya's partners, and then also to get started with Tuya. And we'll start with that one. So for those of you who are on the call, and thank you for sticking with us for the hour as well, the steps to get started in developing your solutions with Tuya is number one, you would have to speak to a specialist, and we'll set up a demo call with someone ideally in your local market. And to do so, you can email us at, global.marketing@tuya.com. From there, one of us and one of our team will reach out to you to book in a demo call to show you that system that we've discussed on today's call. And then from there, generally the next step is to arrange some test samples. Now, for the lighting industry, it can range obviously depending on the project that you have on hand. So we will work with you and help you in sourcing those samples and get them sent over. And then from there, typically we'll move on and look at a small pilot project. So this process can take anywhere roughly between a month to getting to a pilot project to around 3 to 4 months, depending on how quickly we're able to work and the complexity of the project. But that is a quick intro, guys, on how to get started. And do not forget, if you want to do so, the email is on the screen. And then I guess for Frank, so the reason I somewhat asked earlier on about the location of the business and where you operate is kind of leading me into this next point here, is that for those projects, so if there's anyone here today who likes what Frank's been saying and is really interested in the solutions he has to offer, particularly in the local market, how would they get started? How would they find you? And what kind of people do you think you can serve?
Yes, the last years we have implemented successful projects across the Netherlands and also in part of Europe. And right now we are wanting other companies to train them by offering the complete solutions. So actually where the pilot project starts is something that we can help very good on. And I would say that the Europe market is for us, it's not as big as China. So we can help easily on training other companies and partners and installers on implementing the smart solutions. And we can also help them on choosing which protocol, on how to set up the rhythms, how to set up the automations, and in all to really reach that market potential.
Perfect. And if they wanted to do so, jump on the website and we'll email, as we can see, it's hello@firefly.online.
Yes, the new website will go live within a few weeks and it will also be available in English and other languages. So that's
perfect. So yes, that's it, guys. If you want to get in touch, then all the details you have are on screen, and we will share all of this as well. The PowerPoint slides will be shared onto the Google Drive alongside all the other ones, and then we'll also have a recording of today's show as well. So yes, that will lead us in. We're running a little bit over time, guys, but we do have a Q&A coming up now. So let me pop open the questions that we have here, and we'll go through these quickly. So guys, if you have any more questions, feel free to send into that Q&A as well, and we'll go through. So, first question. From Javier, I think we just answered. Can you please share the website of Firefly? I guess, Frank, to double check that one, could you read out the name of the website and how they can find you?
Yes, I can also type it. I see
sure.
It's firefly.online. So it's not firefly.com, but .online.
Sure.
Let me see if I can type it. And yeah, I think you've seen it.
Let's have a look.
It says answered, but I'm not sure if you also see it.
Oh, I see, yeah, okay. Okay. We'll send it as well afterwards, guys, as well. We'll pop it in the chat if you want to go and check out. Next question is, when will Thread be ready? From Lucas here. I guess I'll pass to Mason.
Yeah, it's mainly because for the thread technology now, Tuya already have the available solutions for the matters.
Right.
Matter over thread.
Yeah.
But it's not so common use in the commercial side yet.
I see.
So we don't have the plan for this, but I think maybe next year.
So I think we're waiting to roll out matter over thread in consumer markets first.
Yeah. Because it's in the residential market. Tuya already have the solution.
Right.
The thing is that we just transfer it to our platform. It's quite easy for us.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's the answer, Lucas. Is that stay tuned and keep an eye on the thread rollout, particularly into its consumer solutions first before we move on to commercial markets. From Ahmed, thank you for your question. Is there any training available? I guess where would they find training information, Mason?
Yeah. Actually, they can find some information from Tuya website, and if they would like to have the very technical and very deep trainings, they can just contact with our team, and we will arrange this kind of trainings to help them. And also, like if you're located in Europe or Netherlands, maybe you can also connect with Frank.
Right. Yeah.
Frank is quite professional in this.
Yeah, I think particularly for the local market training and the hands-on stuff as well. Obviously, myself and Mason are sat here in the Asia-Pacific region at the moment, so feel free also to reach out to Frank, particularly if you're in that Benelux and beyond region. The Firefly guys are there and do a fantastic job. Okay, next one from Tantran. Can it output DALI DT8 TC?
Yeah. Yeah, actually we have this kind of converter and the DALI gateway. It can support the DALI and DALI 2 solutions, and also can support DALI 6 and DALI 8. So
Great.
DT6 and DT8, yeah.
So it's supported.
We have this kind of hardware, yeah.
Then from Nolan, for the commercial usage, is it the Tuya Smart app in this field or different apps? I know we covered that earlier in the session, is that there's a complete separate platform from the Tuya Smart app, and there'll be a separate app that comes with it as well. And then Alex Morelli, hello Alex. Question is, number one, any solutions for building non-public using NB IoT?
Non-public using NB-IoT. Yeah, for the NB-IoT solution, it is mainly used like for the street lighting and for the water meter or the electricity meters.
Right.
So for the other kind of the devices like luminaires indoors, it's not so common to use it because the cost is very high. And every luminaire you need a SIM card inside.
Yeah.
And also they will that charge. So
You pay for the same
so
as
it's
well.
mainly used for the, to be frank, it may be used for the street lighting, electricity meter, water meter, this kind of device. Not so many devices, but they want to make it easier to connect with the connect. They can use these solutions. Yeah.
I see. I mean, as a tail into that, because Alex has asked another question here, is that any plan to use LoRaWAN?
Yeah, LoRaWAN and LoRa actually, to us, we don't have the native solution, right? We don't have the LoRa chipset.
Right.
But for us, we can, our platform, our software side, can be have the interface with the LoRa.
Right.
It's like ID gateway. We do have this kind of LoRa gateway.
Right.
Yeah, LoRa gateway has some
So we just don't have
devices.
the native solution, basically.
Yeah.
I see. Okay, let's have a look through. Hang on. Okay, from Marius, how will work outside communicate? So for long distance, I think we covered a little bit of that today, but could you give a refresher on some of the long distance and long range solutions that we have?
So for the long distance, from the protocol side, ZigBee is longer than Bluetooth, but also for some kind of application, they would like to have a longer distance, more than longer than ZigBee. Now we are working on another solution, another protocol called Wi-Song. It will cover around 1 kilometer and 2 kilometers distance, and also for the outdoor applications, they can try the NB-IoT, Cat1, Cat LT solutions for the long distance. Yeah.
I see. I think, Frank's example earlier on at the golf course was a great one for that as well, using the puck. Okay, and then next question from Lucas as well. Any plans about ZigBee Pro?
Yeah, it is still in the very early stage for us now. We do keep looking for this kind of technology,
Right.
but not will be ready in very soon, I think. We will keep tracking on this kind of technology. Once it can be massive use, we will transfer in our system. Yeah.
I see. So just keep an eye on it, basically. And we expect that we will roll it out once we get it more mature.
Yeah.
Sure. Let me just double check. That was all the questions I have for now. Guys, any more questions, feel free to send in the group over the next 1 to 2 minutes as we finish up today's call. Okay. Well, I think particularly as we're running a bit over time as well, guys, I think we'll probably just call it there. It's now it'd be 11:16 European time. Had to calculate that one. So I guess huge thanks first of all to Frank and the Firefly guys as well for helping make this webinar happen and taking part today. So many thanks for that, Frank. It's been an absolute pleasure having you on board, and as well to Mason too.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Anytime.
Thank you, Frank.
I guess, yes, as a closing note, thank you also obviously to everyone who's tuned in, stayed with us throughout the duration as well today. Oh, and yes, Javier, when are you sending the recordings? We'll get those out in the next few days once we've got that arranged. So please do stay tuned to your email as well, and we'll get those sent out. So the recordings, and then also, like I mentioned earlier, the slides are all going to be shared onto that Google Doc, or Google Drive, sorry, so we'll get that shared out to you guys as well. And then, as always, if you want to get in touch, the email we did have up on screen earlier on. So do feel free to reach out and have a private one-to-one consultation with the team.